Hi Heather, I'm going to attempt to do this again because I did manage to get it working. I'm going to try and cater these comments specifically to getting a variety of iPad Pro and specifically Procreate imagery into, in this case, a Zoom call that's being hosted on a desktop operating system, or in this case on a MacBook Pro. So firstly, I'm going to try to replicate a Zoom call situation. And the thing that hung me up before was I was having some Wi-Fi network difficulties. And so whatever your Wi-Fi setup it needs to be working ideally in order for iOS to screen share into the desktop operating system, or OS X. And that enables, those visuals from Procreate in IpadOS to talk ideally through the application that's installed on OS X, in this case Reflector 3. And so then you have options for getting your drawings into calls in a variety of ways. So I just so happen to be generating a Wi-Fi on an old MacBook Pro. And that's the machine I actually use as a router. I plug the Ethernet in, and that may be neither here nor there, but I'm just, forgive me while I go ahead and I'm going to start a Zoom call. I just started a Zoom call. Now I'm going to invite myself to it on so let's say the client is now inviting me to the larger meeting with lots of people, and so someone else is now the driver of that. They'll have controls for share screen and admitting and coming off mute and all of that typical type of driver stuff. I'm going to join the meeting here. So I'm on the meeting now, and I'm in gallery view, and as an event attendee, let's say you want to share some of your drawings into the call. You can do that in a variety of ways. The first way, as William Warren from the Sketch Effect, in a very effective way, and maybe I'll share that link to that webinar that they had done months ago, that in a more efficient way than I have ever expressed it. They essentially suggested there's 3 ways that you can get content in. I'm going to start with like the front and center big way, which is live, real-time drawing on a share screen. So let's see if I can make this work. So I'm going to, on the iPad here, I'm going to swipe down from the top corner here and choose screen mirroring. Get a good look at that because this is important. Early on I had a lot of difficulties making the choice appear that I want it to appear. So I want to select, in this case, this MacBook Pro, and it's only able to do that because it's on the same network. So when I do that application that I mentioned tells me that something is trying to join up here, and so I'm going to allow that device, allow and show all. And now I should have, as you can see, which just popped up on this monitor, a duplication of what's on the iPad is now on this screen. So I'm going to get Procreate running here. And now what I've got here is mirrored up here. So let's fill the screen. Now, I'm halfway there, let's say that in this call, I want to start to share an image of this. While in the Zoom call, I'm going to share screen, and the host will probably have to let me do that. Oh, no. Okay, so the host has given me privileges to do that. So I'm going to choose, I have a couple of choices here now. I don't know how well you can see it, but the choices are, I'll list them. You know, I could share into the Zoom call desktop 1, desktop 2, desktop 3, and you can see here they're labeled 1, 2, and 3. Zoom can choose or whiteboard, or iPhone, iPad via AirPlay, iPhone, iPad via cable, or Reflector 3. Desktop 2 or Reflector 3 is going to provide similar results, but I'll choose Reflector 3 and I'll share. And now we can see the experience that other people are seeing. I'm going to have to disconnect you here because I want to show this to you close up. So I'm going to unplug that. And I'm going to bring you over to look at that screen. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just drawing, just randomly, and you'll see what the viewer experience for people on the call would be. I hope you can see that. I apologize if you can't. And this is going to be weird because I'm holding with my right hand and I'll be drawing with my left. But you can start to see the drawing here. That's in the Zoom call, and it's going in that manner because, I apologize, I'm going to reposition this so you can see the different screens, what's going on now. Sorry, I was in process of wanting to show the AirPlay canvas or project canvas feature in Procreate and the influence that it has on this call over here is the one that's replicating what all of the attendees are seeing. So they're seeing the gallery and they're also seeing the projected content. Now that projected content is coming into the call via this person's computer, and in this case I'm pushing this shared image out of Procreate into the call so that you're seeing it over there. I just wanted to show this when I choose project canvas, or when I turn it off, what happens is you'll see a change here. Now what's being shown here, and you should be able to see it over here, is you can actually see the controls right there. But watch what happens when I do my layers. Everybody in the call sees my layers, or everybody in the call in real time sees my colors. And worst of all, everybody in the call gets, they're along for the ride. You know, so on that screen and that screen, everybody's along for the ride. That's less desirable. So let's make that not happen. We'll turn project canvas on, which is Procreate's way of restricting that content. I think that's that shows that workflow. That's in the instance that they want the content to be featured in that way. This is the real-time equivalent of this is the discussion with the facilitator about, like, where do you want me in the room? Do you want me behind the speaker, side of the room, back of the room? It all depends back to that conversation, that systematic conversation that you demonstrated about what do you want to have happen, what do you know, whatever the criteria for success for the event is, and for me, making the person who you want to make look like a rock star. That in some situations may be being at the front of the room, the back of the room, whatever. Virtually, same thing. So I just showed you how to be at the front of the room digitally. Now I'm going to show you how to be in the room, but not at the front of the room. And how that's done is by sort of gaming what shows up in my gallery tile. So in this call, I can I'm actually gonna stop sharing the screen this way, because although I do know that Zoom can support sharing multiple screens, I haven't encountered very many drivers of meetings who know how to use that feature. So the reason why they want you to only show up as the artwork in your gallery tile is because they need that share screen, although Zoom can do multiple, but most people, I haven't seen any rock stars who can do that. They just want you to show up in the gallery tile. So it's as simple as changing the source going in, and I turned the brightness down on all of these monitors except for this one because I can't. But so all that's going to happen, I'm going to bring my camera down over top of the iPad, and now I'm going to click beside stop video, and this is Zoom specific, so you'd want to do the pre-testing to confirm that these features are available and functional in WebEx, Adobe Connect, Skype, Hangouts, and on and on and on. I'm choosing my webcam, and now what's going into the Zoom call is whatever's under my webcam. So it is a little bit hodgepodgey in terms of like composition, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm going to turn off the lights, because oftentimes what I have to do is I have to work really hard to get this image there that I'm, because that's replicating the gallery. What I meant to say is that sometimes I have to work hard to optimize the image that the webcam is feeding into the Zoom call, because the screen, it's like I'm coming out into the real world off of the grid, and then I'm going back into a camera, and a lot gets lost in that process. So I have to turn the lights off. And what I've got on screen here is just an app that I found called Webcam Settings, which allows me to adjust the settings of that webcam so that I can fine-tune the image that's going into the Zoom call when I'm employing this method. Sorry, I didn't make that clear. But now, and there is no airplane canvas in this way, but on calls of 40, 50 people or whatever, now I'm just like one of everybody else, and I'm saying this one, trying to look and see what the brightness, no, you can see it here. So right there is, one attendee, this is another attendee, so they can see, but they also see the color changes. You can see that, and they see the nav. So that's another way to be showing your thought process into a call, is getting it into gallery tile the cheap way. Now, let's say everybody goes to a bio break and they are like, well, what have you done so far? Because of Reflector, I could do a share screen, and incrementally show the content. So now I've got the gallery tile, showing, hey everybody, and I've also got the share screen showing a real clean version of it. And because technically you could do both. I could have that view and I could have this view, so the participants could see me drawing, with the hand, and then they can see those strokes appear in the share screen. What William did is he just did a really elegant job of describing that that's possible. Like we talked about, that people don't need to know under the hood. Like, we're really under the hood right now. This is how I managed to do it. And then all of the other ways in which you would share content into the Whova app. You can export pings, and you asked about a differentiator. I am surprised that more IFVP members, and maybe like you said, I like doing stuff. I like working from 6 a.m. till 11 p.m. I'm like, yeah, well, a lot more when I'm making good money than when I'm not making good money. Don't get me wrong. But having old cell phones on tripods and just collecting B-roll all around gives you the option to create content. So sorry, I'm deviating like I always do. I'll send you this video, and I'll send it along with the link from the SketchFX 25-minute presentation that they did months ago, but I still think it was a really efficient way to invite people to think about the ways in which the visuals can go in live. You know, if it's not going in live, well, that's the digital version in my mind of sketchnoting. Like, when I first started out, I was like trying to figure out what the shop talk terminology would be to describe varying levels of integrating visuals into events. And in the real world view, I labeled it as, you know, sketchnoting is nobody sees it till I'm done, and then I share it with you, and it's a surprise. There was a digitally mediated version I called Invisible Hand, which is a lot of this, but keep it in a physical space, since that was when the artwork is projected up onto a screen. Just quickly here, I'm just grabbing a clip from an event where I'm projecting, you know, via projector, so that, but in a real world space. Just wanted to, this is what I'm talking about. This is Invisible Hand. So people can see, you know, that, but they don't actually see my hand. And then front and center, of course, is when your easels, boards, and everybody's looking over your shoulder. They can position you wherever. So all of this is essentially just the digital equivalent of providing those same levels of visual integration into the new virtual space, and they're all possible. The hardest to solve is this one here. I think I'm gonna take you down and zoom you closer. I turned the brightness down. Hopefully this video doesn't stop. Maybe it stops when it gets up to 10 minutes. But this screen here, so you can see, that's kind of cool. In the gallery tile, you can see my hand doing the drawing. La 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 la. And then in the share screen, you can actually see the clean digital drawing. So that's, and again, in the gallery tile, because it's doesn't have that Procreate feature, you see color choices and palettes and all the rest of that, but the actual artwork is clean. I don't know if that's helpful, but it's super exciting to me, and I'll stop there. Thanks, Heather. Oh, and by the way, oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing your advice. It's embarrassing for me to realize that as many times as I have had those ideal situations where I'm making the right person look like a rock star, and that aligns with good budget, it's embarrassing to admit that that's happening in a sort of fluky fashion as opposed to a systematic fashion. But I've had enough of it to know that if I could systematically do it, then I could be really in control of my money, and hence my time, and then I could be a little less stressed out. Thanks. Just as an aside, somebody might be wondering where I'm getting the ability to use an old 30-pin iPad or whatever iPad as a bus-powered monitor, and so I've got, display number 1, display number 2,
And display number 3. It's just an app called Duet Display. Where is it here? Duet, where the heck are you? There it is. Yeah. Duet. It's called Duet Display.